A young boy placed a necklace into a flame, then lifted the heated piece and pressed it gently onto his arm. Though it clearly hurt, he refused to let go. A little girl nearby witnessed the whole scene, her face filled with worry and distress. The boy then handed the necklace to her and told her solemnly that when they grew up, he would marry her, and that the mark on his arm would help them recognize each other. 13 years passed. The little boy had become a powerful and extremely wealthy CEO, but he was born with a serious heart condition and had very little time left. At the end of his life, his only wish was to find the girl from his childhood and fulfill his promise. Just then, his assistant located a young woman whose heart was medically compatible with his. When he saw her information, he felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity, though the assistant dismissed it, saying similar names were common. As long as the girl agreed to help, the CEO would gain more time to search for the girl he truly longed for. Thinking this made sense, he rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, the young woman was anxiously pushing her critically ill mother toward the operating room. At that moment, the CEO appeared and insisted she postpone her mother's surgery and marry him immediately. Shocked and confused, she refused, but he then made an offer. If she agreed to a 1-month marriage agreement, he would give her a large sum of money afterward, enough to pay for her mother's urgent medical care. The girl hesitated. With that money, her mother could be saved, but she still remembered the promise made years ago by a kind boy she had once known, believing he would find her someday. Before she could decide, she received news that her mother's condition had worsened. Left with no choice, she agreed and signed the marriage contract. She didn't know this decision would change her fate entirely. She followed the CEO to his villa, where he transferred a large amount of money to her for daily expenses. Wanting to show gratitude, she decided to cook him a bowl of noodles. But while preparing the meal, she overheard the housekeeper whispering, and suddenly understood. The reason the CEO spent so much money on her was because he needed her heart. But she could not let that happen. She still needed to care for her mother and wait for the boy from her past. Fear grew inside her, and she tried to escape the villa, but the security staff caught her at the door. She pleaded desperately to be released. The CEO insisted that he had already spent a fortune to help her mother, and now it was only fair for her to repay him with her cooperation. She tried to reason with him. If she had known his intentions from the start, she would never have agreed. He dismissed her words. She said she could earn money on her own, but he coldly pointed out that no ordinary work could produce such an enormous amount so quickly. Because she resisted, he ordered her to be taken outside and watched until she calmed down. Exhausted and overwhelmed, she eventually fainted. At the same time, the doctor informed the CEO that he must undergo surgery soon or face life-threatening consequences. This reminded him of the girl's desperate pleas that I end that moment. He suddenly pictured the crying little girl from his childhood. He realized he could not keep acting out of selfish desire. His heart softened, and he postponed the surgery, hoping to find a better option. When the girl woke up, she brought him a bowl of homemade herbal soup. She explained that she once had a friend with a heart condition, and this soup always helped him feel better. The CEO refused at first, but eventually allowed her to leave the bowl. The familiar taste stirred memories of the girl from his past, though he still believed the woman in front of him could not be her. Soon after, his assistant brought bad news. Another compatible donor had been found the day before, but that person had escaped, and they had no idea when they might be found again. The CEO had very little time left. The assistant urged him to make a decision quickly, or he might never see the girl from his childhood again. Later, the girl suddenly felt dizzy and weak. Realizing something was wrong, she asked what had been added to the drink she was given. The assistant reluctantly admitted it was a special sedative meant to make surgery easier. The girl panicked. She couldn't give up her life. She still needed to wait for the boy who had once promised to marry her. The CEO ordered for her to be taken to the hospital. She begged for a chance to live, telling them she had finally received news about the boy she had been waiting for. But the CEO did not respond to her words. At the hospital, the medical team had already prepared everything and was ready to begin the procedure. Just then, the assistant received a phone call. They had located the person the CEO had been searching for all these years. He hurried to the hospital and informed the CEO that the girl was the very person he had been looking for. He grabbed the document in his hand, the one that proved everything. Hearing this, the CEO immediately went to her.